Alrighty, folks. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar, your net control station for the Worldwide Pride Net, also known as the Pride Radio Group Net. We're going to begin in just a couple of minutes, so hang in there, folks. Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar, standing by for the net. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. And welcome to the Worldwide Pride Net, also known as the Pride Radio Group Net. My name is Kimberly, Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar is my call sign, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm your net control operator for this net. This is a roundtable general discussion and a rag chew net, and all calls should go through the net control station. This net meets every Sunday at 2 a.m. Coordinated Universal Time. Before we begin, do we have any emergency or other priority traffic? If at any time there is an emergency, please say break, break, and we will assist you. This net provides a safe place for members of the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as their allies, to hang out over the airwaves. This net, as well as the network it's hosted on, is open to all licensed amateur radio operators. No membership is necessary, and we also welcome third-party traffic as well. Speaking of memberships, the Pride Radio Group provides an inclusive environment for all to learn, experiment, and enjoy radio communications by encouraging, promoting, and supporting diversity with the wider radio community, sharing our experiences and learnings with the community, and celebrating and embracing Pride on the air. For more information about the Pride Radio Group and how to join, plus gain access to our Discord chat room, head on over to prideradio.group. That is prideradio.group. Or you can check out Victor Kilo 3 Papa Romeo Golf or Kilo 3 Papa Romeo Golf on QRZ. Membership is free and all are welcome, regardless of who you are and who you love. Unless you are someone who does not like our type of community, of course. This net is being relayed on the various nodes, talk groups, and reflectors of the Pride Radio Network and affiliated systems, including All-Star, Echolink, IRLP, DMR, YSF Reflector, Wires X, M17, NXDN, P25, D-Star, Zillow, as well as various RF repeaters around the world, and it's also streamed live on Broadcastify and via my YouTube channel, which can be found by searching for my call sign, Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. For more information on how you can connect to this network or for our live stream links, visit prideradionetwork.com. That is prideradionetwork.com. And by the way, Icecast is still down. That's why I'm not mentioning it anymore until I bring it back up. And finally, you can also track and follow this net by downloading NetLogger on Windows, Linux, or Mac OS from netlogger.org. That is netlogger.org. NetLogger is a fantastic piece of software that allows you to log into the net and view a list of call signs in real time, and be able to follow along with the net. For Android and iPhone users, you may download On-Air Net Scraper instead. That is On-Air Net Scraper. Alrighty then, before we begin this evening's net, do we have any news, announcements, or other items of business for the net and the Pride Radio Group? Alrighty, let's get this party started, folks. Let's start taking in some check-ins from mobile, short on time, and in-and-out stations. So if you're mobile, don't have much time, or if you just want to pop in for a quick hello before popping out, you may come now with your call signs slowly, twice, and phonetically, and if you wish, you may give us your pronouns as well. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar, and I will be standing by for check-ins from mobile, short on time, and in-and-out stations. Alright, Victor Kilo 2. Alrighty, Victor Kilo 2, Golf Papa Uniform, got you down. That was a rough copy, by the way. But we heard you out there. Anybody else out there who is mobile, short on time, and in and out wishing to check in at this time? Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and send it over to Victor Kilo 2, Golf Papa Uniform from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. I was just checking Echo Link to make sure everything's fine. YouTube. Alrighty, no problem. We'll see what happens, and be safe out there on the road. Alright, well, let's open it up to check-ins from anyone, anywhere. So anybody, anywhere, if you'd like to check into the Worldwide Pride Net, also known as the Pride Radio Group Net, please come down with your call signs slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may also include your pronouns if you wish. Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar standing by for check-ins from anybody, anywhere.
This is Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India Uniform, Phoebe, she, her pronouns, in Stevens, Pennsylvania. And I'd like to do a third-party check-in for a house guest I have, a black cat named Bishop. Back to net control.
Yeah, sorry, I had a mental slip up and, I copied your call sign wrong for some weird reason. Could you, repeat that one more time, please?
Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India Uniform, KC3, VIU, CB, she, her.
There we go, got you down. For some reason, my brain decided to copy down Victor Kilo 3 instead of Kilo Charlie 3. Don't know what the heck happened there. Alright, well, I see somebody connected via the web transceiver, so I will go ahead and allow that station to transmit. Okay, transmit is now allowed for the November 8 station on the web transceiver, which will, of course, be automatic. Which, of course, it's only good until after they disconnect from the web transceiver. Anyways, moving along, do we have any other check-ins from anybody anywhere before we get started? Please come now. Alrighty, Victor Kilo 2, Bravo Sierra Delta from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. A bit of a rough copy, but we did hear you out there, no problem. Got you down, and thanks for stopping by in 7-3, and we'd be looking forward to hearing you again once you are able to check in fully. Anybody else out there wishing to check in, please come now with your call signs slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may also include your pronouns if you wish.
November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo. November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo. Name here is Joanne. Pronouns she, her.
Alrighty, awesome. November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo coming in via the web transceiver client. Excellent. Do we have anybody else out there wishing to check in before we get started? Alrighty, looks like we've got what we've got. So, Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India Uniform from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. We'll toss it over to you.
This is Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India Uniform, CB, and, yeah, I have some interesting things to tell on the tale of 2 weeks ago at work. We had Bring Your Child to Work Day, and I sponsored, I said I would set up some things for our lab, electrical electronics, and I brought in a whole bunch of my Radio Shack kits from home and set them up for different experiments. And then we also had the electrostatic wand, a static generator where you push like little metalized plastic hoops and things in the air, with the static electricity and other things. And with the exception of 2 kids that seemed indifferent to the entire event, it seems like all 80 of the kids were very enthusiastic and having fun. So another opportunity to do a little bit of STEM education, and there were a couple that were quite good. In fact, one woman's daughter was asked, "So how do you know how to wire this?" And I showed her, and she said, "I think this is wrong." And it turns out I put a 220 ohm resistor instead of a 100 ohm resistor. So that was pretty cool that she caught that little mistake. I'll say more next round. So.
Alright, well, it looks like you abruptly cut out right after saying that you would be saying more on the next round. But yeah, that's crazy that a simple resistor would cause all that chaos. Check your resistors and make sure that you're using the correct ones, folks. Guys, yeah, the wrong resistor could really, yeah, it could really ruin your day. Alright, good to hear you out there, Pee-Pee, and we'll get back with you in just a bit. November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. We'll toss it over to you.
Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar from November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo. Yeah, thanks for passing over to me. First time on this net. Been trying to get back in action. Slightly embarrassed to come over on the web transceiver tonight. Had a hotspot and everything set up, and then apparently it has decided to drift significantly off frequency enough that my DMR handheld sitting right next to it is going, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. I'm not Dave. He's not here, man, but it should work. And so I'm going to spend some time with the frequency counter and figure out exactly where things went wrong with this little board. I suspect now that I've gotten to the burn-in, it has drifted significantly. So glad this group exists. Glad to find that a community of like-minded people. I've been kind of lurking in the Discord for a little while, the Pride Radio group, but finally came up with enough spare time to start getting back to things again. Mostly been playing around with a lot of GPS disciplined oscillator stuff lately, and timing boards and things like that. And so to have something off frequency as bad as this appears to be is wounding my pride, but only until I can get it calibrated. Back to net control. This is November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo.
Alrighty, November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, returning. Well, darn, that sucks that your hotspot decided to drift off frequency on you. That's no good. I have a kind of a weird issue going on with my Shari node where it's transmitting fine, but its input is extremely distorted now. So so if I were to talk via my analog node, well, I'm gonna sound very distorted, and I'm not sure why it's distorting on the input, because it was working beautifully prior with no issues. So I don't know. I guess that's cheap stuff for you. All right. Looks like a Victor Kilo station connected to the web transceiver, so I've approved that station. Do note that due to how the software for that is designed, the approval will, of course, disappear once you close your browser. I would have to create a login for everybody in order for the transmit privileges to be retained. Anyways, we're at the bottom of the list, so before we kick it right back up to the top and begin this rotation again, do we have anybody else out there wishing to check in before we kick it back up to the top? Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, standing by.
Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, Victor Kilo 2, November Mike Zulu. Good morning there, or good afternoon, evening there, Kimberly. Brad this way. It's good to be able to jump back on again. Yeah, the listening to the audio side of things again on D-Star and Echolink. Yeah, D-Star's coming through happily on 23 dB. Yeah, unfortunately nothing again on IRLP or Echolink, so yeah, happy to check that out when he's got some time. I hope everybody is staying well and keeping out of trouble. So I've just been doing my normal thing, going off and doing the work stuff and fixating and mind shopping about buying drones. Good times. Well, thank you very much, and hope everyone else enjoys their days. KJ7OMO, VK2, NMZ.
Alrighty, no worries there, and you're sounding good with whatever mode you are coming in on. Anybody else out there wishing to get in there before we kick it back up to the top? Alright, I didn't think so. Victor Kilo 2, Golf Papa Uniform, it's your turn again from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. Hopefully your, conditions are, much better. We'll see what happens. Victor Kilo 2 Golf Papa Uniform Mobile, are you able to hear us? Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. Alrighty, VK2 GPU from KJ7OMO returning. Yeah, we copied you in there barely, just barely. I think the link to the VK2 ROT repeater, I think, is kind of a bit wonky, because I could hear that familiar robotic jittery sound that All-Stars sometimes makes when it's having a little hiccup. And I think right now All-Star on the repeater side is hiccuping like that. So it adds a bit of distortion to your signal, but you were copyable, just albeit barely. And I can also hear the path noise from you being mobile. Alrighty, but it sounds like you've got some antenna rotator projects going on. Hopefully that works out for you. And if it's an HF rotator, then, with a big old beam on it, you might be able to reach us in the U.S. on HF. Who knows? Anyways, Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India uniform from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. We'll toss it back to you.
Yeah, this is Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India uniform. Just a quick check. I'm not sure if I was able to be copied last time. After my transmission was complete, it seemed like I came back to dead air for like 3 or 4 minutes. Can someone verify that, please?
Yeah, hey Phoebe, we hear you. Yeah, don't know what happened there. It's probably a hiccup in the connection, more than likely, but we hear you at the moment. Over to you.
Okay, thanks, Kimberly. Yeah, this is, again, Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India uniform. Yeah, I had a very good day last week, Thursday, not this past, but the previous week, Thursday, at work with regards to our Bring Your Child to Work Day. And I brought my amateur radio gear and a bunch of my electronic kits of the types that I had when I was a kid from Radio Shack there. And gave some demonstrations and had a great day with that. Even met another amateur radio operator in the Red Rose Repeater Association, so that's pretty cool. And again, it was a pretty good time, to give kids some education about STEM and some of the things that we do at work. So most of the crowd was under 10, so giving exact descriptions of what I did at work, not really gonna fly too well with them. But anyway, back to net control, KC3VIU, back to.
Alrighty, KC3VIU from KJ7OMO returning copy there. That is awesome that you got that that you were able to demonstrate the awesomeness of ham radio to those students. Hopefully we're gonna get some newly minted ham radio operators out of that, and also cool that another ham was over there. Awesome stuff. Anyways, my brain just short-circuited, so I'll go ahead and toss it back over to November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar.
Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar from November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo. Yeah, I didn't have a ton to report here. I mean, obviously, other than just some tinkering, as I said, with some things, the hotspot's going to be particularly gone to me for a bit. But the thing that I have been spending most of Saturday with, other than cleaning out the basement, is digging up data sheets on some vintage vacuum fluorescent displays that I have sitting around. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but I have to figure out how to drive them before I'm going to do this. And it turns out that the things are really expecting to be attached to a old school PC parallel board. It's all 8 bits of ASCII and a strobe line and 5 volts and all that stuff. So I'm having to break out some old school know-how and some shift registers and all of that to go through and run them all through the paces to see if how many of them are worth keeping around. Some of them are quite badly burned in. They were sitting active with a static display on them, and you can actually see the raster burn on the individual little phosphor pixels once you take the mask off. So that's been my day. So tomorrow's going to probably be more of the same with a side of writing a pile of circuit Python code to get all that stuff driven and worked out. So with that, I think we're back to that control. Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, this is November 8 X-ray, Romeo Echo, back to you.
November 8 X-ray. Whoa. November 8 X-ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar returning. Well, that's some good stuff right there. So it sounds like you're having a little experimentation with some vacuum fluorescent tubes. Pretty cool. And my apologies to the folks on WiresX. It appears that our link was disrupted somehow, but the link to WiresX has just now been restored. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar, and I will now be tossing it over to Victor Kilo 2 November Mike Zulu.
Kilo 2 November Mike. Oh, I'll try that again. KJ7 Oscar Mike Oscar. Victor Kilo 2 November Mike Zulu. Thank you very much. And there's nothing more on this side, so I am coming through to you via D-Star through the VK2 RAG repeater. I've just left a few comments there up on Discord as well, just for some more follow-up later on. But everything seems to be coming through. I can hear my audio coming back through on the web transceiver, and it seems to be working happily here too. And yeah, for Ray, yeah, I could hardly go off and hear you at all. But yeah, good times. Alrighty, so I'm going to go off and jump out, and I need to head to the shops to go off and spend some money that I really don't want to. But, oh well, that's his life. Thank you very much, Sir Kimberly, and good afternoon to everyone else. KJ7 OMO VK2 NMZ.
VK2 NMZ from KJ7OMO returning. Wow, you're coming in from D-Star. Holy smokes. You're sounding a little too good to be coming in from D-Star. I mean, I thought you were coming in via Analog FM. Seriously, I thought you was coming in via Analog FM. You sounded that good. I'm quite surprised that of how good D-Star is sounding at the moment, because usually it kind of has that robotic sound to it. Interesting. Anyways, well, it's good to have you on board as always, and I shall say my 7-3s to you as well, and enjoy the rest of your day. Alrighty, folks, we're at the bottom of the list again, so let's see if there's anybody else out there wishing to check in to the Worldwide Pride Net, also known as the Pride Radio Group Net. All I need from you are your call signs slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may also include your pronouns if you wish. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar, she, her, and I'll be standing by for more check-ins to this net. Alrighty, do we have any additional check-ins before we kick it back up to the top? Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar standing by. Already hearing crickets at this time, we're going to kick it back up to Victor Kilo 2 Golf Papa Uniform Mobile from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. Alrighty, it looks like Victor Kilo 2 Golf Papa uniform is in a zone of deafness for the repeater, so we'll get back with her in just a little bit. Kilo Charlie 3 Victor India uniform from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar, over to you.
Thank you, Kimberly. This is KC3VIU TV. Let's see. So one other interesting thing that's happened recently. Unfortunately, last week Friday, when I was attending I'm going to call it a mini Pride get-together. We get together and usually they play games or something on Friday nights. I went there to attend, and there weren't too many people there, but I thought I just put down my purse and effects in the activities room, and then started walking around to find somebody, found the group I wanted to talk to. They had a special present for me, so we were talking for a while, and we left that part of the church and went over into this activities room, came back, and another 10 minutes later, the rest of the group followed, and the one woman asked, well, where's my purse? And I'm like, I don't know what it looked like, so we were given a description, we were looking around, and I had my phone with me so I could unlock my car, and encouraged anyone to look in there because I was the last person in, so obviously, by all rights I'm a suspect, and I'm like, go ahead and look, and then I went back in to get my purse, and it turns out somebody had stolen my purse as well. So I spent the last couple days putting things back together. Not an easy task, but fortunately I seem to have gotten to block all the things that were essential to prevent any material loss at this point, knock on wood, and pulling things back together. They didn't get him my ham gear. Fortunately, I had that in another pouch, in another bag and stuff. So they didn't get any of those goodies. So apparently, just interested in cash. But I was able to use my Bluetooth locator tile things in order to do some fox and hounding with that. So that was actually pretty darn interesting, and my friend was a very good companion and very patient as we were looking for such things. So back to net control, KC3VIU.
KC3VIU from KJ7 Omo returning. Oh my goodness, your purse got stolen. Oh no. But fortunately for you, they never got... your ham radio gear is safe, so that is awesome that you at least still have your ham gear, but wow. Well, hopefully you'll be able to track down whoever took your purse and give them some justice. Legally, of course. Wow, crazy. It's crazy that there's a lot of dishonest folks out there. Anyways, we're gonna toss it over to November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar.
This is November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo. Wow, VIU, that is terrible, and I hope getting all the things recovered won't take too long. I have had the misfortune of having lost a couple of business trip ones, and also had a handheld stolen out of the vehicle at one point, and those were very, 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 very awful in two other instances. So I'm glad they only really got the cash and didn't get any ham gear, because as we all know, the ham gear is a bit more special to all of us, I think. I had a question for net control. In terms of getting connected on the free DMR side, I see that you might be coming in from the Australia server. Do you have a recommended server for connecting a hotspot to, especially if I wanted to be on this talk group. Bridging into the rest of the Pride Radio Network. Back to you from November 8th.
November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar returning. Yeah, about the pre-DMR thing. So, okay, at the moment I'm talking via All-Star, which I am going in via my own hub, All-Star Hub, which is hosted at a data center somewhere in the East Coast. I don't know where that data center is at the moment. But I do have but it does have a direct IP link with a server in Australia. And the free DMR bridge is originating from that Australian server. So that's why it appears that my voice is coming in from Australia. It's because my voice is traveling from the US to Australia and over to the free DMR network and ultimately back to the US again. I know, it's kind of a long path to get from here to you, but that's just how this thing works. But yeah, there are quite a few free DMR servers around, and a good bunch of them are in the US. So yeah, go through the list sometime and pick the free DMR server that's closest to you, and it should work fine. And in case if you encounter a free DMR server that's not working right, then you can select the next closest one, and it should work. But, yeah, and in addition to FreeDMR, we also have a bunch of other ways of getting connected as well, and all that information can be found on the PrideRadioNetwork.com website. That is PrideRadioNetwork.com. All that information is listed there. In case if another way you can get your DMR radio connected is by using the DMR to YSF function of your hotspot, and that also works just fine. Hopefully this answers your question. Alright, we're at the bottom of the list, so let's see if we could shake that tree around a bit and get some more folks to drop down from it. Hi. This is Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, your net control station for the Worldwide Pride Net, also known as the Pride Radio Group Net, and we are now taking in more check-ins. So, if anybody out there wishes to check in, you may come now with your call sign slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may include your pronouns if you wish. Let's see. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the carrier and see who responds. Alright, do we have anybody else out there wishing to check in before we kick it back up to the top? Alrighty, well, things have been really slow here lately, but hopefully we'll pick back up again soon. We usually get about around 8 to 10 folks, and sometimes up to 16 folks checking in, but it's just one of those days. Anyways, let's see if Victor Kilo 2 Golf Papa uniform is in a better spot for the repeater. Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. We'll try that again. Victor Kilo 2, Golf Papa, Uniform Mobile from Kilo, Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. Alright, well, it looks like the repeater is unable to hear her at this time, so we'll toss it over to Kilo Charlie 3, Victor India Uniform from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar.
Yeah, this is KC3 VIU. I love playing with vacuum fluorescent displays, by the way. I forgot to mention that last round. And I also wanted to do a possible third-party check-in here for one of my friend's cats that's staying with us. The name is Bishop, and maybe she'll give us a little purr or something, maybe. Let's see. You up for purring? Mm-hmm. She's just adorable.
You cut out abruptly. Back to you.
Oops, not sure where I cut out. Yeah, had some fun with these Apple, love the Tile brand of key locators. I managed to turn that on and find where the person was, but the cops were like, well, we can't go in that building, we can't do this, blah, 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 and I'm like, fine. But it was interesting doing some of the like Fox and Hound work with these Bluetooth devices. It was quite educational. There's one still over in York County that I can't seem to locate where it's coming from. I can get to a certain location and it says it's there, but I can't make the thing sing in order to play the tune for me to find it audibly. It's actually really kind of fascinating and all part of the the amateur radio and EMC RF type stuff. So I found it really particularly interesting. Unfortunately, I have a friend that's very patient about such things and didn't mind the extra time I spent trying to locate the thing. So, yeah, the odds of bringing that person to justice, unfortunately, are pretty slim. But I've cut them off from any of my goods, so that they didn't physically take. It was one of those things, but I'll kick it back to net because I know I'll have another opportunity soon. So, both Bishop and I back wish say thanks, and back to net control. KC3 VIU.
Yeah, copy that. Well, I'm definitely interested in getting some of those tracking devices and sticking them on all of my expensive gear here, so in case if it does get stolen, then, well, I'll be able to see where it's going. And yeah, you know what? I'm definitely going to keep my purse on me whenever I go places. I am not going to let go of that purse. It is going to stay strapped down on me, and it's not, like I said, it's not going anywhere. I'm keeping that sucker close. But I would also throw a tracking tag in there too, just in case if something happens with it. Anyways. Alright, November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo, you're back up again from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. November 8, X-Ray, Romeo Echo from Kilo, Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. I think we lost them. We lost her, I mean.
Hey, this is November 8, X-Ray, Romeo Echo. I think my audio got behind to the web client by about, I'd say 30 or 40 seconds, and I realized that Apple decided to kick off a backup, and I think that was possibly screwing the network connection up. Yeah, the Bluetooth tile tags and low energy beacons are really, they've changed quite a bit, and they've a lot of things quite a bit, and I find them very useful. I happen to be on the Apple for my phone, so I use the AirTags, and it's really interesting what they've done with the ultra wideband transmitters on those, as they let you do. They've got some sort of ranging and directional capability, and I haven't looked to see exactly how that works. But I can actually range in and start walking toward it like I'm doing a fox hunt. It was really funny. The first time I tried to find a tag, that I set out on my property just to see where it was, I ended up, having done fox hunting a few times over the years, ended up trying to do the body meld technique with my phone. I'm like, okay, well, if I get it close to my body, then it will, I'll null it out, I'll null the signal out, and which is the exact opposite of what you want to do with that wideband receiver. Because then it got very confused as to where it might be hearing it from. But yeah, I travel frequently for work, and one of the things that I've done with it is I've got it in I've got one in my bag, I've got one in my, I usually carry one in my purse, I've even got one in my Parks on the Air box. So I built a box for Parks on the Air. It's got my radio and tuner and fuse distribution panel and everything out of a audio rack mount case. And so screwed into that in a hopefully an unobtrusive spot is an AirTag. So if something happens, hopefully it can be located, because that's quite a bit of radio equipment in one easy package with handles on it. So I do recommend them. If nothing else, it's giving me peace of mind of, I'll be sitting on a plane and they'll be loading the bags, and sometimes Delta will tell me the bags are on the plane, sometimes they won't. But, just like going, oh, no, it's in the baggage hold, they're directly below me, I'm happy now. And so it works out pretty well, I think, in the end. So, yeah, I'll definitely have to put in the Slack there, Phoebe, that, if you're, or not Slack, geez, spent too much time at work. In the Discord, if you're in the Discord, what I managed to get working with those displays, if you're at all interested. And as I'm getting a little long-winded here, I'm going to pass back to Net Control. Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar from November at X-Ray Romeo Echo. Back to you.
Alrighty, November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar returning. I got nothing to say at this moment, so let's go ahead and shout out into the void here and see if we can get some more folks checking in. Maybe they'll fall from the void or fall out of the void and come say hi. Do we have anybody else out there wishing to check in to the Worldwide Pride Net, also known as the Pride Radio Group Net? Please come down with your call sign slowly, twice, and phonetically. And you may also throw in your pronouns too if you wish. This is Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, she, her, and we'll see if there's anybody else out there. Do we have any additional check-ins before we kick it back up to the top? Alrighty. Well, I did invite a few people to show up, but it doesn't look like they are. Alright, Victor Kilo 2, Golf Papa uniform from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. Let's see if your mobile station is able to hit the repeater. Victor Kilo 2, Golf Papa uniform mobile from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. Nope. Alrighty, well, it looks like Ray is out of range of the repeater, so I'm going to go ahead and mark her as checked out. Of course, Ray is welcome back anytime when she is able to establish connectivity with the network somehow, or get in range of another repeater that she is able to hijack for the use of connecting to this network. Hi. Alright. KC3 VIU from KJ7OMO. We'll toss it back over to you.
This is KC3 VIU. Yeah, the Fox and Hound stuff is always interesting. I've done some of that work, actually more with networking gear, where you are tracing out your your network cables. But I've also done some fox hunts with other radios and other types of transmissions and stuff. And I long ago found that there was a problem with our network, our computer network system. That whenever it was spring or fall and the blower didn't come on as regularly to circulate air where the server was located, that server board would heat up and cause it to malfunction, and then the one entire network segment would go down. And I did notice there was a lot of interference, like on different bands when that occurred, and I kept trying to figure out if it was externally influenced. And then I quickly realized it was actually coming from that board itself. It was an ArcNet board, an older type of networking, but it was extremely robust in the presence of a lot of traffic, because it was a physical star, but a token passing network. And that was really fascinating stuff. They say the network is so robust that you could run it on a piece of salinated string, cotton string, and the thing would still go. So it's I've seen it work pretty well, but if you do accidentally have someone cut the cable in half with a clamp that they're hanging a light fixture from the ceiling on, it does tend to disrupt the network a bit. That much I can be sure of. Hi. Yeah, so there was something else I wanted to say, but again, my brain's kind of fritzed, so I'll send it back to Net Control. This is KC3 VIU, back to Net Control.
Alrighty, KC3VIU from KJ7OMO returning. Well, that sounds like a pretty darn good network. Very solid, reliable. Just don't sever any of the cables and you'll be fine. Though y'all should consider having, a backup link it, backup links and backup connections and whatnot. So in case if a cable does get severed, then, well, the network will keep on working without any issues. It's always good to have backup. Always. Alright, we'll toss the hot potato back to November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar.
KJ7LMO from NAXRE. Yeah, ArcNet, I haven't thought about that in a while. Had a lot of industrial clients back in the day that used it for exactly what you were talking about. It worked well around things like, welders and industrial robots and all sorts of noise inducing gear. About the only use I have for RG62 is a staging line. It's rather unique in that it's if I remember correctly, it's 93 ohm coax, and I still have some because it's really good for things like building phasing lines for things like egg beater and other such antennas. There's a great article in at least one of the ARRL handbooks about building a weather satellite antenna. So I think it's in all the handbooks that goes on and actually talks about using RG62 for building that cable. Those days are long in the past. I've been doing this for probably longer than I would like to admit. The networks I build these days are fiber optic and much higher speed. But yes, definitely with the redundancy. You can never have too many internet connections as far as I'm concerned. But it's kind of bread and butter for what I do professionally. So it's going to be one of those things that I'm always going to say. But yeah, there was one, speaking of interference, there was a while that I could not recommend to anybody who was doing anything in the 2-meter band or anybody who was using the VHF high band, so the 151 megahertz stuff. Like I had a couple of clients who were public safety departments that I had to tell them that we were going to have to forklift out all of the HP switches they had bought 2 years previously, because they were still, their fire departments were still using the 150 megahertz gear, and the HP switches were generating so much interference, or so much RFI on 2 meters and on the Ethernet cables. There's some harmonic that could never quite isolate what was causing it, and there was no amount of ferrite in the world that was going to clamp it. That they were basically emitting S9, plus 6 interference between basically 146 and almost 160 megahertz, and check the grounds were all proper and everything. So we had to pull those, the advice was I had to pull it out, and I could demonstrate. Like, we took the network down, and then all of a sudden fire dispatch could hear trucks, that they'd been able to hear 3 years previously. It was quite exciting and expensive for them, but in the end it all worked out. So it's interesting where you'll find interference sources and why they'll be triggered. Interesting that one was so temperature dependent. I'm wondering if the fact that maybe the clock slowed down or something happened. Anyway, I have timed out, so I'm going to put this back to net control. This is November 8th, X-Ray Romeo Echo.
November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar returning. Yeah, the network has a 3-minute timeout timer, just so you know. Yeah, it's awesome that y'all were able to find the source of the noise and get rid of it, and so that the those emergency responders can can finally be able to communicate with each other again. I do have a similar interference in my area, but it wipes out pretty much all of HF and makes HF communications difficult. It seems like this noise source, it shifts around a little bit. There are some occasions where the entire 0 to 30 megahertz is wiped out, and other times where only patches of that entire range is wiped out, but other parts of it is fine. And then, of course, there are times where it's completely quiet and nothing is going on, and I'm able to, make HF contacts without any noise. So, yeah, it just this weird noise just shifts around like crazy, and I have no idea where it's coming from, but it sounds like a really loud, obnoxious buzzing sound. Sometimes the buzzing is intermittent, sometimes the buzzing is constant. Yeah, it makes HF really difficult. But I somehow get by, and I still make contact somehow. But yeah, having noise on the bands is no fun. Anyways, we're at the bottom of the list again. Yeah, I would very much love to have more folks added to the list. So, if there's anybody else out there wanting to check in, don't be shy. Pick up your mics and say hi to us. And spit out your call sign slowly, twice, and phonetically. And you may also include your pronouns if you wish. Hi. Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, standing by for more check-ins.
Victor Kilo 3, Juliet Echo Delta. Victor Kilo 3, Juliet Echo Delta.
Oh my goodness! Tony! Victor Kilo 3 Juliet Echo Delta from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. Oh my goodness, so glad you're able to show up. Haven't heard from you in a little while, but I'm assuming that you were busy with your running competitions. Hopefully you have smashed all of your competition. But before we get to you, let's see if we have anybody else out there wishing to check in before we toss it over to Tony. Alrighty, VK3JED from KJ7OMO, over to you.
Yeah, g'day everyone. Kimberly, and not too sure who's on the net, I only just turned on. Yeah, I've just got home from a training session. Not much competition this time of year, just various other things. I had a course all last weekend, nowhere near the radio, and just trying to think, just various odd things on in the few weeks preceding. So, yeah, and next week's probably going to be a bit touch and go as well. Got next week will be a 5k fun run. I'll probably be getting back around this time, I suspect. So, yeah, hope everyone's well, and hopefully the Gremlins have stayed away, just coming in on All-Star at the moment. So that part's working, and it's saying the link to the Pride conference is up. So I'm seeing it connected, so hopefully that's working in a two-way fashion. That'll do for now. KJ7OMO with the group VK3JD.
VK3JED from KJ7OMO returning. Well, sounds like you've had a little fun there. Yeah, for the most part, the Gremlins have been away, though. Brad VK2NMZ on Discord reported a no output to IRLP issue, but didn't give much more details than that. But yeah, other than that, yeah, network has been pretty much stable, and ever since I switched servers, that one persistent gremlin that would suddenly cut off All-Star for me locally has not returned. So hopefully that annoying gremlin stays away. But, yeah, it's that one gremlin where the audio would cut out, but would return if I were to hit the transmit button and stay in transmit mode. Then the incoming audio will continue to be received without any issue until I let go of the transmit button. But yeah, that, like I said, that gremlin has not returned to my new setup. So yeah, everything's on the up and up. But yeah, again, good hearing you out there, and we'll toss it back up to the top now. KC3VIU from KJ7OMO.
KC3VIU? Yeah, I just mentioned that cable setup, and that setup was, those scenarios did happen back in 1992, 1993, and 1994. So, yeah, it was a while ago. And redundancy, of course, would have if I could have. For parallel paths and other interconnection, it was in a warehouse that was, or manufacturing facility that was 100,000 square feet. So, parallel or path for crossover lines wasn't really that easy. Plus, with the way our net works, you kind of need an active repeater in certain places, and we had just enough to keep us going. So, at any rate, yeah, I loved that ArcNet stuff. It was just reliable to beat the band, and the cabling was so easy to do because it was a solid core center, and then you could just trim back the insulation and the shielding, and then just use twist-on connectors. So it made putting additions onto your network so stinking easy. Get a bunch of heat shrink around that to hold it in place, and bammo. Yeah. Okay, so enough of the networking. Of course not, that we don't need networking for what we're doing, but at any rate, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and close this cycle. Seemed to have got a horse in my voice box here. Back to net control, KC3VIU.
KC3VIU from KJ7OMO returning. Well, breathe, don't choke on us. Yeah, that happens to the best of us, no worries. And, yeah, networking is a rabbit hole that that never ends. You hop into it and you just fall and fall and fall and fall and fall and never stop falling. Alright. We're gonna toss it over to November 8, X-Ray, Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar.
KJ7OMO from November 8, X-Ray, Romeo Echo. Yeah, for me, ham radio and the networking thing are kind of intertwined. I got back involved in packet radio in 1993 and learned this little thing called TCP/IP. As a result of that, which then led to my first real gig in '96 when I went off to college and needed a student gig, to kind of pay my way through school, and it's been downhill ever since. And so then, do some things networking, then come back to radio, then, I'd like to say escape from it, but then inevitably somebody has a question for me that involves something involving my day job. But it's really funny now, and yes, it's a rabbit hole, and there's so many facets and aspects to it. The funny thing is that when I got my current job, my boss, who was also a ham, had said to me, he says, the knowledge you have of radio spectrum is going to come in handy more in this job than probably anywhere else, and it turns out he's right. I'm just playing up with stuff up in the terahertz range now, because when we're dealing with long-haul optical networks, we're actually thinking of them tuned in terms of, like, you know, I'm putting this laser on 196.600 gigahertz, because we're actually phase modulating light now, and so we're treating light like it's RF. I mean, it's all electromagnetic in the end, right? But that's a huge part of how we're dealing with these things. So, unfortunately, the radio hobby and the professional work life, I think for me, will always be massively linked together. And with that, back to Net Control, KJ7, LMO from N8XRE.
N8XRE from KJ7 returning. Yes, networking and ham radio are most definitely intertwined. Take our network, for example. Hi. A lot of networking involved there. And, oh, yeah, and there's a 44net, too, which is, a ham radio exclusive IP allocation that anybody who has a valid amateur radio license can get some IP address allocations out of, and have a little networking fun with that. But yeah, networking and ham radio are a lot more intertwined than a lot of people think. Anyways, VK3JED from KJ7OMO. And by the way, we had VK2GPU, KC3VAU, VK2BSD, N8XRE, VK2NMZ, and U checked in. And Ray Yakov are mobile and not checked in anymore, and Brad is also bailed out as well. So it's just Phoebe, Joanne, me, you left here at the moment. Over to you, Tony, from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar.
I seem to have had a few come and go. I was on the bike for most of that time, heading on the way back. So fair bit of bicycle riding. Networking and ham radio, they definitely go together. And I think really it's an essential skill nowadays to be able to understand basic IP networking, ports, TCP, UDP, port forwarding, all that sort of stuff. I'd say that's, even though it's not assessed, it's pretty much an essential skill, since a lot of our software requires it, particularly if you sort of do things like Echolink, or if you want to do anything hosting servers at home, you're going to run into that. Linux is also a very useful skill to have if you're going to play on the server side too, because a lot of our modern server software runs on that platform, including almost everything that builds this network. I think the only exception I can think of, or that you host, is WiresX and Zello. Everything else is Linux-based. KJ7OMO with the group VK3JD.
VK3JED from KJ7OMO returning. Copy it. The majority of the stuff that makes up this network is Linux-based, though WiresX and Zello are hosted on Windows. Because there was no other option of hosting those two platforms. Anyways, we're at the bottom of the list, so who else is out there wishing to check into the Worldwide Pride Net, and also known as the Pride Radio Group Net? You may come now with your call sign slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may include your pronouns if you wish. This is, once again, Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, she, her, and I'll be standing by for more check-ins to the net. Alrighty, folks. Well, if you're not able to check in via voice, you may also, check in online. I accept check-ins from Mastodon, Discord, Facebook if you know my Facebook, Twitter if you know my Twitter. Let's see. There was another one that I usually monitor. Oh yeah, and you can also send me an email if you wish to check in. My details are good on QRZ. And pretty much everywhere else that I have a presence. If you know how to reach me, you can check in that way. And for those of you who lack an amateur radio license, well, I highly encourage you to study for your license exams and get your ham radio license today or whenever you can. That way you can join in on the fun and not only join us on the fun, but have a lot of other ham radio fun on your own. So yeah, the amateur radio hobby is really exciting. So I highly encourage folks to get their licenses. And information on how you can get a ham radio license can be found by simply Googling it. Ham radio license in your country. And the appropriate information should pop up. Anyways, we're gonna toss it right back up to KC3 VIU from KJ7 Almo.
Yep, this is KC3 VIU, Phoebe. Yeah, I've had my Net Plus and A Plus certifications now for years. I've done a lot of work with Raspberry Pis for like security cameras and stuff like that. So I've got all that good stuff under my belt, and I do a lot of work with that type of, the networking and cellular communications and Wi-Fi stuff at work too. So linking GNSS receivers and whatnot to other machines that we build in order to get precision agriculture. So that's always fun stuff. Yeah, I do actually really enjoy and have an enormous cross connect between my hobbies and my work. And there are times when it can be a little bit much, but there's also a great deal of love and excitement. I love to share all this. So, and I think I may have mentioned early on when I first got into the Pride group that I really should have had my license years ago. I was an Elmer long before I actually had my license because I was helping friends get their licenses, but I was always too nervous about taking the test to do it myself. And so, but here I am, and all the regrets are past. So that's it's all, like I said, it's all in the past. It's like I'm happy that I know what I know and I'm able to teach people. So it's just all good stuff. Anyway, I think I'll go ahead and send it back to net control at this point. Unless there's something else that pops up, I'm going to go ahead and declare myself clear. But I might interrupt to come back in again. I'll do it per request. Anyway, back to net control. This is KC3VIU clear, at least temporarily, or perhaps permanently, I don't know.
Alrighty, KC3VIU from KJ7OMO returning. Alrighty, well, 7333 and all the numbers to you, and, of course, you're welcome to check back in anytime, if you wish to, return to the conversation. But, anyways, good having you around. And we have a Mastodon check-in from Brian W5 Whiskey 5 Bravo Delta Juliet, who says, and I quote, "Hey Akim, listening to the net but can't talk. Didn't even think about checking in here." And unquote. Alright, well, thanks for your online check-in, and 7-3 and all that stuff, and we have a double check-in on Mastodon from Stormgren, who says, and I quote, "Double checking in from both the web client and now Mastodon. You told us to check in here after all," and unquote. Very funny. Alright, over to November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar.
Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar from November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo. That Stormgren is actually me. I mean, we did say after all, so, you know, I'm checked in here, now I'm checked in on Mastodon. If I had more things at my fingertips, I would try to check in as many places as I could. You know, you should, if nothing else, with all that encouragement, Kimberly, you should probably like do a checked in all media award for those who successfully check in to the net via more than one time, or more than 10 simultaneous meetings or something. Didn't realize you were on Mastodon actually, so now I'm very much following you, and I did approve the follow request. So anyway, it's fascinating, how we all adapt to and add on to all of these communications media, but then it all comes back around to the same thing. Anyway, tossing it back to the net. KJ7 OMO and the group. This is November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo.
Alright, November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar returning. Thanks for the follow, and yeah. Yeah, I'm on multiple platforms. Let's see, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, Mastodon, various video games, Second Life, let's see, what else am I on? YouTube. Yeah, that's right, I'm on YouTube as well, and I'm actually live streaming this net. And you can find my YouTube by searching my call sign, of course, Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar. And, yeah, I'm online everywhere. I'm not that difficult to find. Alright, VK3JED, we'll toss it over to you, KJ7OMO.
Yeah, you're everywhere, but don't ever get time to do it. Yeah, I don't use Twitter anymore. Been a bit slack on Mastodon too, actually, even though it is a better Twitter than Twitter, but yeah, been a bit slack there. Yeah, I looked at Second Life years ago, but couldn't get into it. Long list of things that sort of didn't do it for me, so yeah, interesting, but yeah, not my cup of tea. And yeah, so much out there. Should get on Mastodon a bit more. That is quite good. Just I keep forgetting. Because it's a bit like Twitter. It's got some of the same issues as Twitter, although not the ugliness that Twitter has. Yeah, and there was a time when networking was both work and hobby, but yeah, not so much now. It's purely hobby-based now. Haven't worked in that field for over 10 years. Yeah, purely hobbyist-based, but still try and keep my knowledge up to date. Anyway, KJ7RMO with the group VK3JED.
VK3JED from KJ7RMO returning. Yeah, copy that. Second Life is not for everybody. But I've been on it for many, many years, since 2013. I go on it every single day. Got a lot of people that I hang out with over there. Yeah, and as for Twitter, yeah, Twitter used to be an excellent platform until Elon Musk took it over, and it turned into a freaking hellhole. But I still maintain a presence on there because, yeah, there's quite a few people that I know that have a presence on there, so, you know, yeah. And plus, you know, despite the hatefulness that the new Twitter owner has started to spread, you know, trans representation still needs to be present. So, yeah. At least, you know, I'm there to, you know, represent our community. Anyways, we're at the bottom of the list, so let's see if there's anybody else out there wishing to check in to the net. All I need are your call signs slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may include your pronouns if you wish. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar She Her, and I'll be standing by for any additional check-ins to the Worldwide Pride Net.
To NRV, November 2, November Romeo Victor.
Alrighty, I got November 2, November Romeo Victor down. Anybody else out there wishing to check in before I toss it over to the November 2 station? Alright, it's all crickets. So, November 2, November Romeo Victor, welcome aboard. Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar.
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Actually, this is my first time checking into a Pride Radio group net. For some odd reason, my Boomstar connection isn't working, so I had to go through Fusion and Hotspot. But anyway, glad that I got on here and glad that I was brave enough to check in. Anyway, back to Net Control on 2 NRV.
Alrighty, into NRV from KJ7 OMO returning. Well, welcome aboard again. Glad you were able to make it. Yeah, we have a huge variety of different modes that we could that folks can reach our network with. So yeah, it's just a matter of picking which one you'd like to use and connecting. It's fun having a multi-mode system. All right, we're gonna toss it right back up to November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar.
KJ7OMO in the group from November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo. Welcome into NRV. This is my first check-in as well, so, you know, it's good to know that I'm also in good first-timer company here tonight. I'm glad you could make it on. Was just actually sitting down to put together a Mastodon post. I think this is also probably the first radio net that I had checked into in at least 10 years. I had kind of fallen off repeaters and whatnot, and HF nets are always kind of chancy. So I hadn't really, thought to do this, but I was like, I really should get back into at least chatting with some folks, and so I'm really glad that this net does exist. And that it's something here. So many thanks to all of you who do put this together, link all the nodes and with all the decoder dongles and all the things that go with that, and put the time and effort and money into it, because this is a crazy thing. While it is a labor of love, it is labor in the end. With that, I will get back to the minutes. Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, and the group. This is November at X-Ray Romeo Echo.
November 8, X-Ray Romeo Echo from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar return. Yeah, you're quite welcome. But yeah, Death, yeah, the one person definitely you should give thanks to, because he was the one who really got this put together, is the next person on the list, Tony VK3JED, and another person who contributed quite a bit is VK2WAY, who isn't with us at the moment. They are probably doing some, working the consoles at a sports event or something. Yeah, myself, VK3JED, and VK2WAY, the three of us together built this network. And but VK3JED was the master architect of this whole thing. VK3JED, go ahead and take it, KJ7OMO.
Yeah, okay, Kimberly, and speaking of network, that report of IRLP issues shouldn't be happening, but I think I know why it might be. It may be the sunsetting of an IP range. I got delayed because one of the admins, not IRLP, Dave's really good, but another one never got back to me with answers to questions, so don't know if he got my email or he's just one of those people who tends not to respond. Dave was contacting me within 24 hours, so if that's the issue, I can do a quick reconfiguration. I can have IRLP back within a day. I changed my end, and then Dave will change his end, and then over the next course of the next day, it'll start working again. No biggie. The other one affected one of the D-Star reflectors, but only one of them, which is going to affect more local D-Star users here than anything. The main XLX432 won't be affected, but the reflector REF023 will be affected, so if that one's down, then that, other than the actually doing some ping tests, would confirm what I suspect could be the cause. And that downtime for that second reflector depends purely on whether the party can, even without talking, can reconfigure his end to recognise it on a new IP. But the lack of communication has caused some issues. But as for platforms, I was never a big fan of Twitter. I tried it. Got the alligator my end. I tried Twitter, and nah, not for me. But I do do maintain the account because occasionally people post stuff that you need to log into access that's worth reading. Anyway, KJ7OMO of the group, BK3JD, I might make this a final. But yeah, good to be able to get on this week.
VK3JED from KJ7OMO returning. Well, yes, it's definitely good to have you on. The net's... yeah, it's, let me get myself together here. Okay, well, yeah, it's good to have you on, as always, and I shall wish you a 7-3, and, all that stuff, and, definitely look forward to hearing you, on the next one, if you are able. Alrighty, November 2, November Romeo Victor, will toss it right back to you from Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar.
Oh, goodness. I didn't realize the list was that short. Well, I'm hoping everyone has a good night tonight. Well, that's night where I am on the East Coast U.S. I don't really have much else to add. I did try checking it, or connecting to the XLX 432 server and their reflector, and that didn't connect with my setup here. The REF023, that one did, but then I couldn't hear one gentleman over. I heard him, but didn't hear him on the reflector, so figured I'd just jump on Fusion so I could hear all sides of the conversation. But thank you for letting me join. Thank you for keeping this going. Back to you. Oh no, KG7OMO. Well, at least I got the last three right. Sorry about that. This is N21RV. Back to you.
And just a quick one. This is XLX432, so yeah, it's up and running. I just fired up the D-Star radio to check. So I am going out through XLX432. But if you're on a US trust-only system, yeah, 023D would be the only one you might be able to get. And yeah, that IP is still up, so the IRLP report is a bit of a mystery. Anyway, I'll put it back to net control, and yeah, just letting you know that D-Star is working. VK3JD, back to clear of the net.
Alright, this is Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar returning. Well, what do you know? That one gremlin that I thought was gone, well, it decided to rear its ugly head and cut off all audio locally on my All-Star connection, unless I hold the transmit button down, which restored the audio. So, I thought I got rid of that bug, but it was there lurking in the shadows, and it returned. Oh boy, fun times. Anyways, we're at the bottom of the list, so, do we have anybody else out there wishing to check in? All I need are your call signs slowly, twice, and phonetically, and you may include your pronouns if you wish. This is Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Mike Oscar, she, her, and, I'll be standing by for any additional check-ins to the net. Alrighty, N8XRE from KJ7OMO, over to you.
so much. KG7OMO from November 8 X Romeo Echo. I've gotten to about 23:44 local here time, and my brain is rapidly running out of things, as much as I hate to say it. So I think I'm actually going to make this my final. Again, thank you for running this net and making it such an enjoyable experience. I will be making sure to try to attend as much as possible. Usually we don't have a ton going on Saturday nights, but I think I do now. I did find the issue, I think, with my hotspot because I was been tinkering with it and that's been going on. And I had to change servers, which I'm going to have to figure out why exactly it did what it did. But the gremlin is that it looked like it was getting RF. It was showing BER on both the RF side and the network side, and really high rate. And it seems that it was probably taking packet loss to the DMR server I was talking to here in the U.S., but I switched to a different U.S.-based server, and it went away. Now, what's been wild is hearing the delay as the traffic makes it from here out to Australia, into the free DMR network, across the U.S. server, to my hotspot, and popping out the radio, which, if you add up all the latency, is probably the 300 to 500 millisecond delay that I'm hearing roughly in the audio popping out of the hotspot. So hopefully next week, when I check in, it will be via handheld in true ham fashion. So anyway, KJ7OMO on the group from November 8 X-Ray Romeo Echo. Good talking to you all, and 7 threes, and I will be clear.
Yes, gotta love the audio delays. Going from the US to Australia to the Free DMR Australia server, from there over to the Free DMR US server, and then from there back to you. Yeah, gotta love that audio delay from that extra long path. Hi. Alright, well, thank you for hanging out with us. You're more than welcome to use the network anytime, regardless if there's a net or not. The network is, open 24/7, free to use by anybody, unless somebody doesn't like our LGBT community, of course, and in that case, they're not welcome. But everybody else is welcome to use the network anytime, 24/7, and yeah. All right, well. 7333 and all the numbers to you, and thanks for checking in. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but first, N2 NRV from KJ7OMO, over to you.
KJ7OMO, this is N2 NRV. Well, I was going to jump out anyway, and make this my 73 all the way around. Good hearing from everybody, and thanks for letting me join in. This is N2 NRV, back to net.
Alrighty, N2 NRV from KJ7OMO, 73 to you as well, and thanks for joining. Before I close the net, do we have anybody else out there wishing to real quick check in as an in and out? Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar standing by. Alrighty, folks, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank all of you for participating and having fun on this net. I also would like to thank the Waverly Amateur Radio Society in Sydney, as well as the folks behind the VK3RBO repeater for allowing us to hijack their systems to relay this net. I also would like to thank VK3JED, VK2WAY, and the rest of the Pride Radio group for making this net and this network possible. I now return all frequencies, repeaters, and other systems back to their abnormal use. I mean, normal amateur radio use. Hi. 7-3, everybody, from Kilo Juliet 7 Oscar Mike Oscar. Alrighty, YouTube. That's a wrap. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you on the next one. 7-3 from Kilo, Juliet 7, Oscar, Mike Oscar.